The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN Wednesday morning, just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We got about 24 minutes to go until the start of trading. Thanks for kicking your trading day off right here with me at TFNN on the Morning Market Kickoff. And we start things off slightly in the red this morning. S&Ps. And I say slightly, we were just in the positive. You have a little bit of a dip lower in the last 15 minutes to 45 minutes or so. We're negative by 5 points right now in the S&Ps, 64.77. NASDAQ 100, we're trading down 29 points right now. All things considered, relatively near all-time highs, off 0.1%, 23,560. Dow off by 24 points. Almost flat, was just in the green as well. 45,462. The Russell off by 0.3%, 2356. Bitcoin, 111,335, up by $100. Ethereum up by $10, 46.14. Crude up 28 pennies this morning. We had a 62 handle briefly on crude. We're at 63.53. For the price of light sweet crude, we jump over to yields in focus as usual. And we have the 10-year right now at 4.29. Now, there's a lot of cuts priced in. Okay, but as I've been saying, you don't have to go back that far, folks. Even if you take the April 7th volatility out, we still have a low yield of May 1st. And really, you go back to July 1st, we were at 4.19. August 5th, we were at about 4.19, 4.2, okay? And 4.2 in terms of the yield on the 10-year. And right now, we're at 4.29. So we have longer-term yields actually rising as the independence of the Fed is in question. Something to keep your eye on, politics aside, okay? You look at the 30-year, look at that pullback, right? Yeah, the Fed can impact the overnight lending rate, which is going to impact short-term rates most of all, okay? But you check out this move, man. All right, the 30-year, super red on the short term. You go from the 2-year upwards, and you are longer. You are higher on the longer-term duration. 30 years up by 4 basis points. The 10 years up by 3 basis points. The shorter-term duration is not moving. Okay. Everybody's worried about housing and mortgages. Yeah, and we're sitting right now at the 10-year up by 0.2%. So, just 1 second. Okay. Now, we jump around with Fed in focus, man. And, you have an opinion piece from Bill Dudley out here saying that he wasn't worried. Now he's a little worried. I'm a little worried. All right. Yeah, everyone's going to say it's your politics. It's not the politics, folks. Okay. To tie in, that you have, and it goes to, Bill Pulte, who's the grandson of Pulte Homes. Okay. And he's the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. And, if you take the context of what's going on, this gentleman, so he did not have an active role in Pulte Homes, but he was on the board or chairman of the board for 4 years. Let's see. And it's about her mortgages. And, for the context of it, I'm just trying to see Pulte, because he is the grandson of Pulte Homes. Here it is. Just a board member from 2016 and 2020. So you have a president that's a huge real estate investor, and you have a gentleman who's a scion of a real estate empire family, arguing that mortgage fraud, as he says, this is Mr. Pulte, okay, 30 years is what you can do. And in the context that is what President Trump was convicted of, was mortgage fraud, straight up financing. Now, aside from the politics of that, to have all of this private real estate investors pushing for lower rates, you should recognize the inherent risk no matter where you qualify on yourself, okay? No matter where you qualify yourself on the political spectrum, there are risks here to the inherent independence of interest rates. And we're seeing it on a longer term basis. And I hear things out there that President Trump says, you know, we're paying these interest rates or whatever is said, right? We should be paying the rates. You don't get to choose the market rate, folks. I think we all understand that, whether it's in the forefront of your brain or in the back, okay? Longer term, you're not going to get to choose those rates. And if it comes to that, you have vast wealth overtaking the Fed and pushing for those rates, you know, hey, shorter term, I'm in real estate, okay? It's going to be okay shorter term. There's not going to be a problem. You better believe there's not. But you're seeing it play out on a longer term basis right now on these equities. So you know, if you want lower mortgages, folks, okay, that's not what's happening on the 10-year right now. It's definitely not what happens on our debt on a 30-year right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. All right, let's jump around to some movers today. Coles, you ready for this one, baby? The turnaround might be real. Check out that acceleration. Coles, yeah, you're up by 20% this morning on their numbers. We pull it over. Coming into holiday season, why not? So they narrow their guidance towards the higher end of the range. Yeah, they've been trying for a turnaround. They've had a real snafu. They had to ditch their CEO. Second quarter net income, $153 million compared to $66 million a year ago. Net sales dropped from $3.5 billion in the year ago quarter. You come in at $3.35 billion versus $3.32 though. Earnings, 56 cents versus 29. Think about it. You were a $13 stock. You just doubled the earnings that you were supposed to take in, right? They expect earnings in the range of 50 to 80 cents a share, and previously they were in the 10 to 60 range. It's a big beat, man. And yeah, they've had some leadership problems, to put it lightly. Yeah, less than 4 months, their last CEO was out. Let me take a look at this thing. So we're going to open at about 16 bucks. This thing got a little meme volatility going, but this time the move's going to be real. Let's back it up even further than that. So what are we coming into? We're coming into the lows of 2023. Somewhere between about 17.50, 18 bucks. We're going to open at $16. Stay tuned, folks. Come right back.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento, a pro's pro with over 50 years of experience. Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
This portion of the Morning Market Kickoff is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Welcome back, folks. We have the S&Ps down by 6, NASDAQ off by 36. And, Darth, you're in the YouTube. It's great questions, right? All right, so can it be for cause? Can it not? Folks, these are just allegations that are thrown at the wall, okay? Allegations thrown at the wall, okay, of being a criminal, okay? This is not inappropriate behavior. The allegation is they broke the law. Well, then where's put yourself in the context of somebody that's reasonable, that wants the world to behave, no matter who's in charge, whether you agree with them or not, okay? If you're making the case that they've behaved in a manner that is not indicative of the type of moral, ethical compass that you should have, then yes, you can make that case, all right? If they haven't followed the rules of the Federal Reserve, that you can make. No, but this one's super simple. They're saying that she's a criminal, she's got to go. She hasn't been accused of anything in a court of law, and you have the president, who has all the power in the world, if somebody is being a criminal, to actually start actual criminal proceedings. So there's the difference, okay? You can be fired for cause, but when the cause is that they're a criminal and there's no criminal allegations or anything going on with it, you should doubt whether those allegations are true. Okay, and I guarantee that you would, Darth, to put it on you, if somebody you didn't agree with was in charge. Because otherwise, it's just throwing stuff at the wall. That's it. Okay? That's it. You can be fired for cause. Of course you can. But giving these thinly veiled arguments for Trump to just throw whatever he wants at the wall, call anybody a criminal, okay? It's not, though, Darth, because she hasn't committed anything. She hasn't committed anything. All we know is that Trump is throwing stuff at the wall. Folks, This thing, your brain, don't forget you have it. Okay? This whole reality, this conversation is like having a conversation with a wall. And I'm sorry, Darth, but she hasn't committed anything. Nothing's been said of anything besides President Trump obviously wanting lower interest rates, doing anything he can, alleging that somebody's a criminal when they haven't been accused of anything in a court of law. Folks, this stuff used to matter. Okay, all this stuff about people being criminals without even being prosecuted, not even getting told what they've done, not put in front of a court of law. Okay, that's not how you want things to get done. Things go south real quickly. Okay, this is a real simple one. If she did what she did, it was very foolish. People do it all the time. Doesn't mean it's right. And then, yeah, if you want to be a Federal Reserve chairperson on the board, you better be squeaky clean. Okay? But it's super simple. Because if what they're saying is true, then she better have a good reason. But guess what, folks? There's a lot of good reasons people do this. You only need to live in that home for 12 months after you get a mortgage. And, you know, the exact verbiage of how this works is that you, yeah, I know. In baseball, thank you so much for saying the truth of it, okay? And this is what comes out, is that the underlying of this, folks, is most conservatives can't stand Lisa Cook because she thinks she's a DEI hire. And at least you're putting the real quality out there, okay? So they're trying to get rid of her any way they can. They're alleging she's a criminal. But the underlying context is the first black woman on the board, they think that she's a DEI hire and she's got to go. Okay, so thank you for putting the reality out there, baseball, of where it is. She hasn't been accused of anything. Folks, I don't want the next Biden to be able to do it to Republicans. You shouldn't want the Republicans to do it, you know, and I'm an independent, okay? I'm an independent. So I don't get how anybody thinks it's a good thing that the president just calls somebody a criminal and then they get fired. If she did what she's alleged to, it's the easiest thing in the world to convict her of. Okay? But guess what? This is the part you're not going to like, is that the law is very vague. Yeah, and you can have life-changing circumstances, okay, that can depict that you need to change as long as you didn't intend to defraud, right? That's going to be the line. If she planned on living in one place for 12 months and then had a life-changing circumstance that changed those plans out of her control to something of that degree, okay? So that's where it's going to go. But guess what? Put it in a court, and yeah, if she did it, she's gone. It's very simple, okay? And that's what I would encourage most of you to think broadly of, because at some point you're going to get somebody you don't agree with, and if they can just fire anybody they want, okay, there's a big problem. I don't know how that one is a difficult. When you talk about firing them, just calling them a criminal when they've never been charged with anything in court. The whole innocent until proven guilty thing, it's a big one in America. And it's frustrating that's like, let's have that back and forth. Well, is she guilty? Well, does she need to be guilty of for cause? Yeah, that's how it used to work. And that's probably a good line to have in the sand. When somebody's called a criminal, that they're convicted of being a criminal. Otherwise, the government usually abuses those powers, right? They call people criminals that they don't like, and then they never have to go to court and actually prove it. I mean, this is like simple stuff, folks. Darth, you know, I'm disappointed in you, brother, okay? The cause is that she's doing illegal behavior. Right here, the brain, in between. The cause that you're alleging is illegal behavior. So if it's illegal behavior and he's the president, why isn't that person facing the scrutiny of the legal system? Man, we go off the deep end sometimes quickly, but come on, people. You know, and everybody says, I get the emails, you know, oh, get off politics. Yeah. My dad used to hand out copies of the Constitution, folks, okay? He went left and right, okay? You better be waking up. And if anybody got that Constitution, okay, I don't think they just had that the president called anybody they wanted a criminal, and that gave him universal right to say that they're a criminal and that there's cause. The whole point of having a legal system is so that, you know, you don't have to just trust that people tell you somebody's a criminal. You know? And yeah, you know what though? If she did it, it's a problem. Okay, that's the deal. And if she did it long before she was seated on the Fed, Ian, it's probably still a problem. You got to be squeaky clean if you want to be at the top of that spectrum, and we know that's the deal. And as sad as the reality is, you want to be the first black woman on there. You definitely got to be squeaky clean. And even in your own life, folks, you're pushing those mortgage. You know, you're pushing those boundaries, right? Taking personal mortgages when you're close and maybe you're not living in that, or yeah, you're taking a risk, okay? Because that's not what you're signing. And it's a six-figure finance document that you're taking out a loan, and if you're not truthful, then yes, it is a problem. So, but it's simple. This is like the simplest case in the world. The dates are there, the documents are there, and if that's the case, we'll see what she says. And guess what? The precedent's already referred it, right? Didn't it go to the DOJ, or where's it going? So if it's that simple, let's go. And he's using the government for that. But guess what? That's a much simpler case than just saying, well, he said it, she's got to go, and she's gone. Interest rates matter. Watch the long-term yields. We'll be right back, folks.
Skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstack's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstack releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
All right, forgive me, folks. We're back. We got the S&Ps right now. We're down by 7. NASDAQ 100 off by 44. We jump around to some of the Magnificent 7. You have Apple shares right now down by 0.2%. We jump over to Amazon shares down by 0.1%. NVIDIA and Focus, they got their earnings coming up. And we got the big dog right now. Let's take a look at the daily on NVIDIA. This thing's been remarkably strong, coming right back up to the highs. We talked about it. That turnaround you got a week ago. So last Wednesday, if you remember, markets escalating to lower prices. And NVIDIA found a real bid in the middle of the day. You did it on volume. Look at how that volume sticks out there. And we're coming back to test the highs. I mean, that's the way you want to find a bid. All right. Jump around to AMD. And by 0.7% right now. And yeah, checking in on Kohl's on the open, up by 25%. You know, take this meme volatility out of there for a moment, okay? And yeah, you know, I'd look for this thing to trade to about the $20 price area. That's where you had a bottom in May last year. That's where you had a bottom in June. And that's also where you consolidated from the June pullback. Right, you did tremendous volume, came back, tested that area on 20, chopped around there from the period of about July of last year all the way through October. And that's where you look to be heading. Amazing run from the $6. Makes me want to look at some of these other dogs out there. JetBlue, 533. You know, that's looking like a Gartley, man. All right. So we talked about Kohl's. Abercrombie and Fitch. So I was at the Brandon Mall this weekend. Did a little Cheesecake Factory. We hit up the Carousel. If you're around the Brandon area, folks, absolutely great mall. One of the great malls around there. They got a carousel, 2-story carousel in the middle of the mall. So we did a little of that. And I just found myself walking past the Abercrombie and Fitch. And I remembered myself being in Abercrombie around college. One of my buddies worked in Abercrombie around Philadelphia, Villanova. I said, man, it's amazing. This has like been around forever. And yeah, so Abercrombie narrowly beat the Wall Street expectations, but it's the Hollister brand that's doing everything. Their namesake brand falling 5%. Imagine that if they weren't, and this is where, you know, you grow or you die, because Abercrombie brand fell 5% at those sales. Comp sales dropped 11%. 11%. They're getting their lunch eaten, man. Yeah, the Hollister brand helped savage it. Abercrombie & Fitch sales climbed 7%, led by the 19% growth at the Hollister. Comp sales across the business rose 3%, but Hollister was all of that. Comp sales growing 19%. It's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. Sales $1.21 billion. Better than expected sales outlook. Revenue rising between 5 and 7%. They were looking for 4.3% growth, so that's a nice beat. They got $90 million in net tariff costs. That's up from $70 million. Yeah, they're going to be the NFL's first official fashion partner. I'm not sure that's going to get it done, but they've teamed up with Christian McCaffrey, T. Higgins, C.D. Lamb. Yeah, they're gonna. That's a look at this chart. All right, so they're bouncing on the open, and man, you might have a dead cat bounce here, folks. Because I don't think Hollister is going to be big enough. You know, there's rapid growth, and it is, but it's their namesake companies going to garbage. You know, Abercrombie and Fitch, comp sales down 11%, sales down 5%. right, that was some nice buying off the bottom in May. They're particularly vulnerable on the tariff front, and we see that actually those costs are going up. As we said in May, they talked about that they were going to have 70 million, maybe going down to 50 million. Was that the number? What did they just say? Yeah, because they jacked it up. Yeah, no, it's going to be 90 million. Yeah, nearly double what it previously anticipated. This is going to linger, okay? When they announced their earnings in May, so now remember, that was in May. We already got the reprieve. They were expecting 70 million. They thought they might bring it down to 50 million. Well, we're at 90 million. All right. Yeah, NVIDIA dipping a little bit lower, down to 180 right now. So we'll take a look at NVIDIA coming up after this next break. We'll take a look at some of the volatility priced into this equity. We jump over to Intel shares in focus recently, giving it back slightly, off by 0.2% right now. NVIDIA, 3% of the world global market capitalization, 3%. So they report their numbers after the bell today. It's going to be interesting to see if they talk about the 15% that they'll be kicking back to the U.S. government for the China chip sales, how that plays into things. For the quarter, NVIDIA expects to report $1.01 a share on revenue of $46.2 billion. Amazing, man. They did $30 billion in the same quarter last year, folks. That would be a 53% rise in revenue in 12 months. And that's not going from small potatoes. That's going from 30 billion to 46.2 and taking earnings from 68 cents last year to $1.01. We'll talk some NVIDIA when we come back. Stay tuned.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Open Call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
For traders who crave risk, Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs provide opportunities to magnify short-term perspectives with up to 3 times a daily leverage, utilize bull and bear funds from both sides of the trade, and trade through rapidly changing markets. These are highly leveraged ETFs with daily resetting designed for short-term trading, not long-term investing. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the Direxion. For up-to-date pricing and performance, go to Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at direction.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? TFNN is your gateway to the world of trading and investing. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, TFNN empowers traders and investors of all skill levels with top-notch investing systems, strategies, and techniques. It's time to protect and grow your money with insight you can trust. Join us live Monday through Friday during market hours for exclusive content that moves with the markets. At TFNN, we bring the trading floor to you. Our seasoned hosts are here to answer your calls and questions live on the air. Check out the Tiger's Den for just $1 and follow us on YouTube and become part of our vibrant community. And remember, at TFNN, we're so confident in the value we provide that we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on all new premium newsletter subscriptions and services. You have absolutely nothing to risk, so why wait? Tune in live to Tiger TV and transform your trading journey, because when you know better, you invest better. Join us and experience the difference today. TFNN, educating investors.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We got NVIDIA down about 0.9%. They have their earnings after the bell, as I was talking about, right? Revenue going from about $30 billion last year in this quarter to $46 billion. Earnings going from about 68 cents a share versus over $1 a share. You look at the volatility priced in. We're on the Thinkorswim platform. We're going into the option chains. I'm just going to the ones that expire on Friday, August 29th. The move in either direction, if you want exposure through Friday, is about $12.31 right now. If you're just doing moves through today, that's $11.42 of it, okay? Because it's all about earnings right now. You get into the actual numbers. We're trading right now at 180. I'm going to bring it down to where we are. And yeah, with about a $12 move in either direction, and at the money, put or a call, going to cost you about $6. Okay, you want to buy them both and just buy volatility, it's going to cost you about $12. Now, what I always say is, what's great about the option market is, very often, especially if you're trading actively traded options, the bid-ask is pretty close. All right, you got a bid-ask right now of an at-the-money put and call of only 5 cents wide. Okay, well, when you got a $12 expected move overnight, that's not a bad bid-ask spread. So when you look at a trade, in this case, you look at NVIDIA. $12 is the expected move. Are you bullish or are you bearish, or are you expecting no move? Okay, you can be kind of all the three, and you can be a combination of them, right? You can say, well, I think maybe you go flat to higher, but it's tough for me to see the downside on this equity. Or maybe you say, nah, this equity is underpriced. I think it's going to coil higher, right? And the market's not pricing in enough volatility right now. So there's a $12.30 move priced into this equity, well, like 6% move, something like that. And these are simulated trades. So on the Thinkorswim platform, folks, you can go into the Analyze tab. You can add simulated trades. You can take a look at the risk profile that develops. And so right away, you can say, all right, what if I want to buy an at-the-money call? Okay. You buy an at-the-money call. And this is what your curve looks like, right? You're buying an at-the-money call at about $180 strike price. And when you move it from there, okay, and I'm sorry, give me 1 second, folks. All right, forgive me, folks. I got a lot going on. Had to take that phone call. Shame on me, I know. Okay, NVIDIA. So you buy an at-the-money call. You're buying it with a strike price of 180. You're paying $6. Your break even is 186. Okay, but what the part I wanted to stress here when you're going over, okay, is that let's say to yourself, man, that's a little bit big. Okay, and I'm really not looking for an infinity move here, but you say I'm just looking for a little bit of upward price action. You say, okay, and this is where the multi-leg options come into things, folks. And you say, I buy in a 180 call, and you say, but man, I don't think it's going to go. Sorry, calls on the left here. I buy a 180 call for about $6, but I'm really not looking for a move far over 185. So then what you do is you sell the 185 in the same way. Okay, hold on. Here it is. I have a bunch of theoreticals up here. And what that does is that gives you only a $2 investment. So again, if you're buying the 180 call, you got to put up $6. So your break even becomes 186, right? But these are great trades, folks, with limited defined risk. Okay, this is a debit call spread. You're buying the 180 call plus one. You're selling the 185 call. So you have to buy the 180 call for $6. You outlay the $6. That's your initial investment. You get to sell the 185 call, so you take back in $375 or $370, and your total cost ends up just over $2. And what you've done is you've basically created that you now own the exposure for NVIDIA from the area from 180 to 185. You get to pick the area that you want to own of an equity by creating these call spreads, okay? And you can do it on the other side of it, okay? You can be the one selling a credit call spread on the other side of that, okay? But in this case, it's simple to understand, I think. And then the great part is you're risking $2.15. That's the max you can lose when you enter this trade. And your max profit is the $5 range you've created minus what you had to put up to create that range. So you make $5 max, but you had to pay the $2.18. So your max profit is about $2.85. And here's what that looks like on the chart. Okay? And look at the blue line only on this chart. Okay? The blue line is your profit when these options expire. If it expires at 180, you get nothing because you only start gaining at 180 and above. So you lose your initial investment, which is your $220 loss. If you want to break even, you got to go from 180, make up your debit, and you got to get to 182.20. And then what happens is your max profit's at 185 because you've sold somebody else the right to control those shares at 185 and higher. It's a great way to think about trades like that, folks. I encourage you to get a demo account no matter what platform you're on, okay? I enjoy Thinkorswim, I do, but there's many platforms you can do it. And try some of those multi-leg trades out on options because you might be surprised. Now, that's the simple one where you're buying the volatility here, okay? But let's do one more. Let's say that you say, what if I say, man, you know, there's way too much volatility priced into this. And if anything, right, I'm bullish this stock. But there's way too much volatility priced in. I mean, this thing's either going to stay flat or go up a little bit, but it's not going down. Okay? That's a reasonable take. And many equities coming into earnings say there's no way they're selling off NVIDIA. Okay? Well, what do you do there? One of the things you can do, and these are not recommendations going into earnings. Got to say it clear enough, okay? When you're trading earnings, our man Kevin Hinks in Thinkorswim, we show his program at noon every day, folks, Fast Market. He used to say, you got to have an opinion. You got to have a bias, okay? Whether you're long volatility, short volatility, bearish, bullish, you got to have a bias. But if you understand options, you can craft the best trade to capitalize on your bias. Because the worst thing that can happen in a market, right, is that you think something's going to happen. It happens, and the trade you made somehow is not profitable. We'll finish this up. We'll talk about selling a little bit of volatility on NVIDIA coming into their numbers, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter. A must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN. Educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. So to finish up this NVIDIA, they have their earnings after the bell today, folks. Okay, we have about a $12.50 move priced in through Friday. Of that Friday pricing, the market's priced in almost all of it for today, of course, right? $11.60 of that volatility priced in just around the event taking place tonight. And, you know, the first example I gave you was I want to buy a call spread above the market. I think it's going up. Very, very, like, you know, the only thing simpler is just buying a call, right? The next leg is you buy a call, and then you say you can buy a call spread, which just basically means you sell a call above where you're at, capping your profits, but decreasing your initial investment. The other side of that is you say, well, what if I'm selling somebody else options? Say, okay. You say, well, I'm going to sell, okay. You can do this on both sides, right? Let's say that you think it's going to go flat to higher, as I mentioned. Well, you can sell somebody else a put, right? And you say, this example is, you say, I'm going to sell somebody a 180 put because I don't think that put's going to be worth anything. Okay. But I encourage you to always cap your losses. Okay. And that's what you can do in options very easily. And in this case, I said, I'm going to give them a $5 range. Okay. I'm going to sell the 180 put, but I'm going to cap my losses at a $5 range, and I'm going to buy back the 175 put so I can close out that trade. For making that trade, I get a $2.20 credit because the 180 put I'm selling is $6.10, and the one I'm buying back is $2 cheaper. And as you can see, where this trade gets different than the last one is, my max profit is where the equity's trading at right now, about 180 bucks. Okay, I make that $2 credit I take in initially. My max loss is the flip side of that, the $5 range I've created minus the credit I took in. Folks, thanks so much. We got NVIDIA slightly in the red, off 1.1%. They're the main event after the bell today, but the main event right now is Basil Chapman with the Tiger Technician's Hour. He's coming up next, folks. Have a great one. Have a safe one. We'll see you later.